ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to our Friday edition of the Breakfast Bankroll with good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa, as it is now a nice 33 degrees, might even reach 40 here live in Cape Cod, Mass, as we stare at feet upon feet of snowbanks that will probably be here till May 1st, who the hell knows. But we survived most of Massachusetts. Cape Cod has power. We were blessed and fortunate to have it go on and off for a while, but it stayed on for the most part. So we're here to wrap up a busy day here. As me and Scotty will talk some WBC, some MLB. 10:15, 10:20-ish, I will be a guest with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk, talking the return of the NHL and more. And at 1 o'clock today, the NCAA Insiders, Matt Grissom live from Vegas and Q Mills live, I think from Virginia today, talking week number 3 already of college baseball. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber Hawley, Carol Bucks, Alan, Matthew, Jacob. The list is endless. Drew, come on down. Download the app. We're going to probably, I'm going to say the start of next week, debut the new look of the ECSI, where we're pivoting to, talk some tickets, talk some market report, yada, yada, yada. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
What's going on, man?
Another day. Feet hit the ground.
Warmer there for you.
Yeah, snow's melting. I got some big drifts on my roof, and I'm just afraid as I'm walking out one of these times it's going to crash, bang, boom. But it melted yesterday, so hopefully it will melt and not slide up. Something that you're not, of course, have to worry about in your neck of the woods. WBC starts next week. We'll be back on Monday. And then if I remember correctly, first game Wednesday, then Wednesday night, and then the same on Thursday. Is that correct?
Well, it's a weird deal, right? So the first game starts at like 10 o'clock at night, and I don't know if people are going to bet it or whatever, but it's Australia plays Chinese Taipei or somebody. I don't know. And then that morning at 10 o'clock in the morning of the next morning, Thursday, there's another game. And then at 10 o'clock at night, Thursday night, there's a game. And then Friday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, there's a game. And Friday, then all the other pools open up. So they're opening this up in Tokyo. And, you know, the Fox is going to carry these games, Fox Sports 1 or Fox Net or I don't know, whatever they do. But they're all carrying the games. So if you want to watch, you know, Chinese Taipei play Australia, I'm not sure why you would want to watch that, but that's game one. Obviously, if you wanted to watch Japan play, and trust me when I tell you, you'll want to watch Japan play as much as you can. They're a good baseball team. They'll play, you know, in that pool. I'd have to look to see when their first scheduled game would be and who they play. But and then, if you want to watch Korea play in that pool, those will be KBO guys. They'll be halfway decent there. So anyway, I think that's how it's going to obviously start. And then, from that perspective going forward, we got baseball games.
Came out, Tyreek Skubal will get 1 start, Paul Skeens 2 starts. You talked about Logan Webb. Last week, Sox Twins, Joe Ryan scheduled to pitch 15 minutes before scratch, back tightness, yada, yada, yada. Any updates on Joe Ryan?
It's interesting when you try to follow updates for these guys and what's the issues with these guys. And I haven't seen anything on Joe Ryan, which means to me that he's okay. And it also means that they haven't replaced him on the roster. So that means he's going to go play for Team USA, and that means he'll probably pitch for Team USA. So I think that puts into perspective sort of kind of where he's at in terms of, it's a twinge or he had a feeling or whatever. So they're just being cautious with him. And with the rules and the way this stuff works for the WBC and pitch counts and stuff, he's not going to get hurt over there. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, theoretically, he's not going to get hurt with the amount of pitches he's allowed to throw. So, yeah, I think it'll be an interesting thing to see where they slot him in because this is a team this team's they don't need Joe Ryan. They don't. That kid for the Mets is something else. McLean, they got him. Let him pitch, for God's sakes. He's younger. His arm ain't going to fall off, and let that kid pitch. They got Michael Walker on this team. He can pitch. So when it comes to what they're going to do and how they're going to do which leads to a lot of different things. Team USA is stacked with starting pitchers. Now they have some bullpen guys too. Don't get me wrong. They got good bullpen guys. But they're stacked with starting pitchers. They got like 8 of them. Well, why would you carry 8 starting pitchers? Well, because the way the pitch count rules work, you as a strategist of your game, how you want to play it, you might want to go and say, I want a starting pitcher to start and go, the first 3 innings or so. I think the rules stipulate that in game 1 that they pitch. I don't know if it's called game 1. Let me look. It's so first round play is what they call it, pool play. So in pool play, they're allowed to throw 65 pitches. So I've always tried to teach people 15 pitches per inning. That's the number. So you're looking at 4 innings, right? Now, if they're at 65 and they're in the middle of the count against a guy, he's allowed to finish that, but he's got to come out. So what if you had a guy that went 4 innings and then you threw another starting pitcher, back-to-back starting pitchers, bango, great guys, great starting pitchers, came back-to-back, and then they got to the 8th inning and now you throw in your 1 reliever. I think that's Team USA's strategy. Now, when you talk about the Dominican Republic, they don't have that. They got like 4 starting pitchers or maybe 5, and they're gonna run them out there for as long as they're allowed to throw them. And then they're going to throw their relief pitchers as they seem necessary or fit to throw them and follow the rules behind that. Because I think there's something to – so pitchers who throw 50 pitches, they need 4 days rest before they're allowed to go again. Lower thresholds like 30 pitches trigger a mandatory rest cycle, and they're not allowed to throw like 2 days in a row. So they gotta skip a day. So so they're not allowed to go out there and back to back all these guys. So they got to figure out how to use them. And I think if you look at Dominican Republic's roster, they got like 14 relievers and just a handful of starters. So they're going to just kind of game dependent. If they're beating the crap out of, I don't know, Colombia or somebody, then they don't need to, throw their best guys. They can just throw a few guys. But they got to get to the end of a game based off of pitch count. So, and then that opens up in the I think it's the quarterfinal round. Yeah, quarterfinal round. They're allowed to throw 80 pitches. And then in the semifinal final round, they're allowed to throw 95 pitches. So as it kind of breaks out and kind of goes forward, if you're betting these games, you 100% need to understand the strategy that the teams might have to employ and use. And you're going to have to understand that your pitcher that starts this game isn't going to obviously pitch very long. So the Scooble thing, where he's going to pitch one game and then he's going to be gone. Whatever. I think that's a good thing for Team USA. You get Scooble out there. He's going to throw the game against Great Britain. This line or Brazil, I forget who they play. It's one of those two. This line's going to be like minus 600 for them. Minus 650. And he's going to be the dominant favorite. I mean, you got the two-time Cy Young Award winner going against guys that play baseball part-time for the most part. So I think you'll see a huge number in that game, and then Scooble's going to throw his 45 pitches, and then he's going to go away. So now, where they're at today in terms of pitch counts, most of these guys are already hitting the 50. So when you watch a spring training game and you chart the games like I'm doing in the pitch counts and so forth, they're getting, if it's their second start, they're getting to around 50. So for the most part, they're already throwing, they're already throwing 40, 45 pitches, 50 pitches. So this is not an unusual thing for them. It's just and then what's cool, like we've been talking about with these damn spring training games, those guys go out there and they work on stuff. They ain't gonna work on stuff here. They're gonna get outs, and that's what they want. These are games that are high intensity games, so they're gonna go try to get outs. They're not gonna work on, I need to throw this curveball. That game, they're gonna go try to get out. So it'd be interesting to see the mindsets and the different things for some of these guys. But I think, in my opinion, it's an amazing thing to see what happened with the men's hockey team, because I think that sets up the men's, well, I shouldn't say men's, the Team USA players to want to fulfill that same type of feeling and do it for the baseball. So I think they're going to come in like all gassed up and ready to go, to be honest. I think the hockey thing sets it up to where those guys want to come in and go, God, that looks like a lot of fun. I want to go party in Miami and whatever and all that stuff.
It's funny you go there, because that was my next pivot, my transition, as we like to say here. Women's USA win the gold in hockey. Men's beat Canada in hockey to win the gold. And now here we are, the WBC. And listen, I don't know if there's a happy medium. Either people love it or they not hate it, but they not going to go run into the window and must watch TV. But as it's building up, and as it's almost like a crescendo, starts slow, and then next thing you know, the pools are over, and here you got your Final Four, semifinals, and then you got your championship. It's really going to crank it up here. You look at it in the same view, right? Hey, the Olympics was amazing. Look what the men's hockey did. Now baseball, let's follow up here.
Yeah, for the most part. So everybody's all excited about this WBC, and I get it. They should be. The best players in the world are there for the most part. Some of the guys that couldn't get there because of whatever, they're hurt or this or that or whatever, it doesn't matter. But the point I'm going to make here is that when you watched Team USA hockey against Team Canada hockey, there's no better hockey in the world. Those were the best players. You could get the best NHL teams in play, or whoever they wanted you. They don't match up to that. They were fast. They played great defense. They skated well. All of that stuff was great hockey to watch. Now, when you get Team USA, and guys, this roster is one of the best rosters you will ever see ever. Against Team Dominican or Team USA against Japan, those are the greatest rosters that you can put together. Maybe you could mix and match some of these guys from Dominican and United States and Japan and make a super team or something. But the point being is that you should see when we get that far along that this is some of the best baseball you will ever see, ever, because the teams are that much better than, like at the beginning of all this, I matched up Team USA against the Dodgers and said, let's look at, the offensive war and the overall war and the pitching war and all that. And the Dodgers come out pretty good. I mean, they've got the Dodgers have a where's it at? Team, there we go. And if I go there and I go Dodgers have a war total of 48 and a half. That's pretty good. So they got some good players, Tani and Betts and, and Tucker and, they got all those guys and their offensive war is 138.7. That's the best Major League Baseball team can put together. Their starting pitchers are offensive war is 16. I mean, those are big numbers. And then you match that up to Team USA. Team USA is 84.8 award number, and keep in mind that 48 was the Dodgers. They're twice as good. Team USA is twice as good as the Dodgers. That's what it means. And when you look at 138 offensive WAR, and you go, that's really high. Well, Team USA is 252. So double that. So their guys on Team USA would destroy the Dodgers. Just destroy them. So when you think about how good this team is, it's unbelievable. But if you were to match, say, the Dodgers up to Team Dominican destroys the Dodgers too. Just absolutely crushes them. The Dominican Republic is, a team that if they can get things to go their way and they can play together, I think they're going to be right there at the end. They're better than Japan. They're just as, well, I shouldn't say just as good. They're slightly less good than Team USA, slightly. And it comes down to the pitching. The starting pitchers for Team USA are better than the starting pitchers for the Dominican. But that's hard to tell you that because Christopher Sanchez is going to go out there and pitch for a team. Like he's one of the best pitchers in the world. So then they got guys that are going to come off and throw 100 miles an hour out of the bullpen, but 100 miles an hour. So that's the type of teams that are going to these things. And of course, prior to these teams meeting each other, because they're not going to meet each other right away, they're going to have to play through the Great Britons and the Brazils and the Colombias and the Czechoslovakian team and the whatever teams. And you're going to see these greatest teams play some of the weakest teams you ever saw too. So it's not going to be that great until we get to the knockout rounds, if you will, where the teams advance. And then once they advance, then the competition level will increase. You're going to see better teams playing better teams, and some of it will be kind of cool. Like if you see, if Mexico has to play Canada or something, for example, that's a pretty fair fight, and Mexico's pretty good, but so is Canada. So it'd be interesting to see. Now they don't compare to Team USA or Dominican Republic or whatever, or even Venezuela, but once you get into all this stuff and you start looking at these teams and just watch them play. I think all I'm looking for is good competitive baseball once we get out of the pool play, because you're going to see some scores that are 20-1, 20-0, and they got run ruled, and this team, whatever. It's just going to happen. I looked it up, and last year it happened 3 times, or not last year. The last time the World Baseball Classic happened, the mercy rule came into account 3 times. And one time Canada beat a team 20-2. So that was part of, hey, we don't need to go out there and waste all your arms and pitching and all that stuff on, a 20-2 score. So
Right now, again, we talked about this on Wednesday. Puerto Rico minus 125 to win Pool A, Canada plus 330, Cuba plus 700. Pool B, USA is minus 800. Next closest, Mexico plus 600. And in Pool C, Japan minus 575, South Korea plus 800. Again, I got those on DraftKings. If you want to play the advance, actually, no. Let's go to your top two execs: Dominican Republic and Venezuela, minus 115. Let's see where we got some. Japan, South Korea, plus 150. I'm looking for Puerto Rico, Canada, plus 200. USA Mexico minus 220. So they're expecting a USA Mexico. Again, go to DraftKings if you want to goof around. We'll be back on Monday to talk some more before first pitch, Wednesday, and then Wednesday night. And we'll probably be back on Thursday to recap what happened Wednesday to get you set up for Thursday there as well. I want to transition to MLB. Stanton. Tweet comes out, I can't open up a bag of chips. I can't open up a bottle of soda yet. I'm going to play all year. We know about Cole. We know about Rodon. A lot of guys injured on their way back, and yet the Yankees, as I speak here, let me go to baseball and MLB. MLB here. To win the East, the Yankees are the favorite at plus 180, Blue Jays plus 250, Red Sox 320, Orioles 425, and your Rays plus 2,500. I sit there last year, same thing, banging my head. The Yankees, it didn't matter if they were 5 games back or 5 games up. They're not going to move them off the top shelf. Then a hot September and August, here come the Jays. They come in through the back door. In my eyes, it's easy to go take a bite at the Orioles plus 425. Added a lot of offense, added some starting pitching, back end's great, and the funny thing is they got money and they're willing to spend. Now, are the Orioles going to win the division? Probably not. But my point is, I'm not running the window to bet the Yankees, Scotty, at plus 180 to win the East.
Well, I don't think they're the best team in the American League. I think Seattle Mariners are the best team in the American League. I don't think that people give the Yankees credit for what they did and who they are. This is a team that won the most games in the American League last year. Them in Toronto, they tied with 94 wins. The people don't think that, they didn't make it to, past the Toronto or whatever. Well, some teams get hot, man, and sometimes you just can't beat them. But the one problem that I have with the Yankees is that they're going to look just like they did a year ago for the most part. I think you're going to see Ben Rice play a lot more. And I think you're going to see him become more of a star. That kid's really good. I don't know what they're going to do with Volpe. Volpe is not going to play until sometime in May. So they're going to have Caballero be the shortstop or whatever. They've been working on McMahon at third base, and he's got a new swing, a new style, a new approach. So we'll see what that does for him. They've got some problems in terms of what their rotation looks like out of the gate. But anytime you throw Max Fried out there, you're going to be in pretty good shape. But you don't have Rodon to back him up yet. Rodon's like 2 weeks behind. So he's not like way behind. He's only like 2 weeks behind. So Rodon will miss a couple of starts, but then he'll be back in there. And then Cole is sometime in May that he's going to be, there. But I don't know what Cole you're going to get. Now, if you get, you look at the reports, he's throwing 95 to 97. That's pretty good. If he's throwing 95 to 97, I was reading today, he's got batting practice where, Aaron Judge is going to hit against him. So as they're looking at, what they do with these guys, and they kind of go. Now, I think the biggest, thing for the Yankees is I don't think anybody, and now he's on the big stage, you'll see this kid Weathers that they got from Miami. He is a shine him up, because he can be a crown jewel kind of kid. He's a left-handed pitcher. His dad was a Major League Baseball player. He's kind of been in the Miami, he throws hard, blah, 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 kind of mix of stuff. But he's not really what we want. We want these other kids, because they got a bunch of kids that are coming up. So they traded him. And with the Yankees, if they can get some more out of him, which it looked like they did in his first preseason game, but his stuff plays. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. The ball movement is big. It's not little, it's big. So if you're throwing 100 miles an hour with great movement on the ball, and you weren't doing that a year ago, that is big plus for the New York Yankees to then hold them over until the quote Rodon's and Rodon's got to be good. And then, the Garrett Cole's got to be good. And I don't know, I was reading that it looks like Schlittler or whatever his name is, I think they're going to kind of manage his innings a little bit this year. Then I was also looking at like Blue Jays. Trey Savage hasn't pitched much yet already, and they're not stretching him out. He might not even be in the rotation to start the season. And he's supposed to be one of their better pitchers. So they're going to manage his innings too. I mean, they just signed, a guy that looks like me to pitch, Scherzer. So as they kind of go through all these different mechanisms and stuff, I think some of these teams, especially in the American League East, they understand, especially Yankees, to be there at the end, you got to kind of manage your team like the Dodgers do. Don't worry about everything up front. Don't worry about what it looks like up front. You got to be good at the end, and your guys got to be great going into the playoffs, and all your guys are available and all that stuff. I mean, like, remember the Dodgers? The Dodgers, we were talking about whether their catcher was even going to play in the playoffs because he was hurt and this, that, and the other. Man, shit. Those guys are all good and healthy by the time they go. Max Muncy gets, months off, and then he goes out and goes crazy. All of those guys are that way, and I think that's the way baseball has become a little bit is you got depth in an organization. You put a bunch of guys out there and you let them do whatever. And once it comes time for playoffs, once it comes time, they're ready to go. And you put your best foot forward. So I don't know. I think the Yankees need a big year from a guy like Cody Bellinger. I think they need more developmental from, like Austin Wells. Those guys need to get to where they're supposed to be and be good. I don't know if they figure out what they're going to do with Spencer Jones yet. Like, if he can't make the team, that's another year that, they're going to kind of hide him down there. But to long story short, to answer the question, no, I wouldn't be running to the window to bet the Yankees to win. I don't think that they can't. I think they certainly can. I think Blue Jays. Here's I haven't written this yet, but I'm getting ready to do some stuff with the Blue Jays. Look, the Blue Jays got a lot out of Springer last year, way more so than people even know. And he's in his mid-30s, and it was a resurgence for him. He's not going to have that same resurgent year. They don't do that. So, yes, you could have those outliers like he did, but he's going to kind of regress back a little bit. So if you got a guy that regresses back a little bit, and you're still playing these guys like Straw in the outfield and stuff, Miles Straw or whatever his name is, and you don't have guys, Santander is not going to be there to help them this season. So you're going to ask Addison Barger to go be a guy that makes up any difference that Springer can't give them. You're going to ask Guerrero Jr. to do a lot of stuff. You're going to ask Alejandro Kirk to be great as a baseball player hitter. So you're gonna say Ernie Clement, go do amazing things. Well, these guys aren't 25 years old, just developing and becoming with a lot of runway and stretch to be good. Addison Barger's younger, but most of these guys are in their 30s, and so is Ernie Clement. Those guys, a lot of them peaked last year at hey, we had our best seasons all at the same time. They don't do that year after year after year. So they're going to need to win a different way, in my opinion, and I think they did that. I think Dylan Cease is going to be great for them. Now, I say all that, and then he's going to go to the American League East, and he can't even complete 5 innings in the National League West. So we'll see what that looks like for him. I'm not sold on this Cody Ponce guy that they got. Now, Cody Ponce, just so everybody knows who he is, he pitched in the KBO last year. He was their Cy Young in the KBO. I think he was 23-1, Jeff. And I think his earned run average was below 1 or something like that. And he struck out everybody. So that's his deal, right? Well, he's going to pitch 4th or 5th for this team. And we'll see what that looks like, because the KBO is certainly not Major League Baseball. So we'll see where all that kind of goes from there. So I do like, the idea that they've got pitchers. They're deep in pitching. The Bieber guy, he's hurt again, so I don't know where that's going to lead them. But we'll see how it all plays out for Toronto. But when you start matching up teams to what's going on in the American League in the East, you got to look at the Red Sox. They got rid of Bregman, but never really replaced the offense. Their offense is worse than it was a year ago, but their pitching is much better. So that's a different formula, a different way to win. So we'll see what that looks like. And Baltimore, I think, is obviously the most improved one of the bunch. And I think people are selling short the Rays, and I get it. You should sell short the Rays. They're not very good, but they're a 500-ish type team. They're not the Washington Nationals. They're not bad. So when you start, they're gonna knock off some teams and win some games that. It's going to make the American League East a fight every time every team plays. So my only concern with Baltimore is Baltimore doesn't have that ace guy. I mean, I get it. They're going to have Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish and those guys be their ace guy. But, they needed a Framber. They needed somebody like that to go be the number one guy and match up to everybody else's number one. They didn't get him. So when you think about where they're at and what they're doing, I think they did a lot of positive things. Can they make some deals and do some stuff down the stretch, maybe to do whatever? I don't know. Maybe they want to do that. Maybe they don't. I don't know. They got to stay healthy and whatever his name, the guy plays third base, Westberg, whatever his name is. He's already hurt. So now they're going to have Kobe Mayo play third base and some guy they got from I don't remember where they got him from, but he's a also ran guy that's been around forever to play third base and share time or whatever, so that they have that covered. But that's not really what you want. You want to exploit your strength, and if their strength is offense, which it should be, then they need to figure out what they got behind the plate. If Adley Rutschman can hit, then they'll be good. But he couldn't hit last year, and we'll see what it looks like for him this year. So he needs to be a run-producing guy. And, they got a perennial type guy that's an MVP player in the shortstop, whatever his name is. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But, when you think about those guys, that team is really, really good.
Henderson.
Yes, Gunnar Henderson. So when those guys are doing that stuff, when you look at them, they have a lot to offer and a lot of upside. But I don't know, man. The pitching is just you can't go out and throw Dean Kramer and then tell me you're going to be the best team in the American League East.
in their pride and joy that they brought up late last year, the next coming, we could maybe trade Rushman, and then he's going to be first base / DH. They sign Alonso, Bastos, or whatever gets hurt yesterday. So, but they said he could have came back in if it was a regular season game. So keep an eye on that. On Monday, I want to go over the Central because listen, I was born at night, not last night. We remember what we saw last. We remember the great start from the Tigers. The Tigers are plus 110 to win the division. Cy Skubal. They bring over Framber Valdez. They slide Flaherty back down. Mize. Offensively, they're good. Back end is great. Yeah, Kansas City's only plus 225. You know my love affair for Cole Reagans. If he's healthy, he's one of the best horses in the American League. We know about Bobby Witt. We know about Pasquantino. They're only plus 225. And the funny thing is, the Guardians are plus 425. We write them off every year, and somehow, some way, they hang around. And the Twins, who are in a full rebuild mode, are plus 900. And, of course, your White Sox, 3,500. I'll just say this to you, and maybe you give me a quick synopsis. Something smells on that Kansas City number to me, Scotty.
Well, I can tell you that Baseball Prospectus likes the Kansas City Royals. They got Kansas City to beat Detroit and win this division. No other model that I look at or no other model that I've seen says that to be the case. But Baseball Prospectus likes it. I think that's a lot to ask. The Kansas City Royals, Jeff, don't score runs. They just don't have an offense. So when you don't score runs, you can't win games. And I get it. You can have Cole Reagans, you can have whatever pitchers you want out there. And the Seth Lugos of the world aren't as good as they were 2 or 3 years ago. And they're older and aging and getting hit. So I think when you start to look at what that team is Bobby Witt Jr. and he's a funny guy to root for. If you bet on them and you watch them play and stuff, he gets on base and does stuff, and then you're counting on a guy like Sal Perez to hit a home run to drive him in. And how many times does he do that? Well, 2 years ago he did a lot. Last year he didn't do it that much. So these guys are older, and Pasquatch, right? Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not good. He's a streaky guy. Mikael Garcia, who plays third base for them, was WAR-wise their second best player, right behind Bobby Witt. And he was really good last year. So where does that put them? That this team, they got Jack Caglione or whatever his name is, and he got hurt and stuff, wasn't developing and doing that stuff last year. Maybe he can be a spark and do different things this year. I don't know. I would have thought that if he was going to be able to do that, he could have done more of it last year before he got hurt. I'm not a big Royals guy. Doesn't mean I don't bet on the Royals. I just, when the right situations apply, you put them, you bet them. But, my thoughts is that it's hard to support a team that's not going to be able to go out and do anything to really crank down that advantage or edge they may or may not have at the end. And when the Tigers go out as the front runners in the division, and then they bring in Framber Valdez, I'm okay, whatever. I mean, there you go. And Casey Mize looked really good last year, and I think developmentally he's going to be again better than he was a year ago. So I like Detroit. I think Detroit's better now. I like the manager in Detroit. I think the manager in Detroit's better. Yeah, I think there's a lot there for Kansas City to have to overcome. Can they do it? Sure. But I'm not going to throw my money there. I just won't do it. I think you could look at a guy like Torkelson, for example, for Detroit, who I don't remember how many home runs he hit last year, but it was pretty close to 30. And people don't really recognize that. They're like, well, this is all Riley Green's team. Well, Torkelson can do a lot. He's developing and getting better, and they've got other players like that they can. That they've got a shortstop, McConaughey, that's just like the kid that plays for Pittsburgh. whatever that kid's O'Connor or whatever his name is. So that young kid developing one of the best prospects in all of baseball. He might make this team and he might play every day. And if he does that, then, there you got some youth and some energy and some drive from some of these kids that are going to help this team. And that alone is enough to keep them ahead of what Kansas City did. Kansas City didn't do anything. They didn't bring anybody in. They don't have anybody there to take over the pitching staff. I mean, I get it. They get Cole Reagans back, and that's really good because, he's a big-time starter. But here's the one thing I'll remind everybody about Cole Reagans. Go look at what happens when he plays the Twins. Go look at what happens when he plays the Tigers. He don't beat them. He's good, but he gets beat when he has to be matched up against these better pitchers. Something up here in these guys' head when they pitch separates them from others. Like Tariq, you see him go crazy on the mound and get all fired up, or he gets mad, or he gets this or that, whatever. Is that competitive drive to, I'm not going to lose this game. Well, I don't know that Cole Reagans has that. Now, maybe he's developing it. Maybe he's doing some different things. Maybe somebody's, psychiatrist-wise talking to him. I don't know, getting him going. But, he's got some of the best stuff in the league, but he's so far he's an under 500 pitcher.
Me and Scott will be back Monday. We'll recap any news in the MLB spring training. We'll do some more WBC. Then we'll get you guys fired up next week for the start of the WBC. Again, late game Wednesday. Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday night. Then the pools open up on Friday. I'll be a guest with Andrew in about 15 minutes at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks. 1 o'clock NCAA Insiders are bet.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just thought, look, one thing about Seattle Mariners, keep an eye on their pitchers. They're getting healthy. And if you remember last year when we talked about Seattle, it was like, well, they're the greatest pitching team that they have. And then their pitchers all died, and Brandon Wu was their best pitcher. So yesterday, for example, Logan Gilbert, he's throwing 97 now, and he's got movement all over the place. Bryce Miller was throwing 97. Now, when I say they're throwing 97, they didn't throw that last year. Bryce Miller was 94, and Logan Gilbert was 95, 96. So I think I just thought of it. So like. There's a big change in what they're doing, and I was thinking about Cole Reagans. There's a difference in that these guys are doing it, and they've done it in the past, and they're coming up. And I sit there and I look at that, and I go, "This is the best team in the American League East. They're going to have the best pitching, and that they just got to overcome all the bullcrap that." I shouldn't say bullcrap, but all the things that Cal Raleigh did, he's not going to do again. He's not going to go hit 60 home runs. Maybe he hits, 30, but he's not going to hit 60. So they got to come up with, more stuff. Well, their pitching can overcompensate for that, and they can get Brandon. Brandon Wu was like their number 5 guy going into the season. He became their number 1. So that developed him a little bit better. All that kind of stuff. But Seattle. I think Seattle's an up-and-coming team, so we'll see.
Yeah, they'll be knocking on the door for sure. They're the prohibitive favorite to win the West. We'll talk more about the Central and the West on Monday. Again, go follow Scotty. Oh, Scotty, before we wrap this up, as we are wrapping this up, tell everyone about your Substack, where to sign up. Obviously, they can follow you at Webby20MLB on X, but tell them where they can sign up.
Well, the best way to go get to the Substack is, and I can when I retweet this broadcast or whatever, I can put a link there too. But the idea of the Substack is I write some articles and put them in there, but I share the data, So if you want to see some stuff and you want to look at sabermetric data and understand it, I'm going to put it in there and. Show you how to make lines and different things. All that stuff will be in the Substack. But and I'm not charging anybody anything. All you do is there's a link, you click it, and then it takes you to my Substack, and you go, oh, subscribe, and there you go. As you're in, it's not a hard thing. But if you follow me on Twitter or you don't follow me on Twitter, you can go to my handle on Twitter, and then in the paragraph thing that describes you or whatever, there's a link there. Just click that, and then you can go to the Substack. Obviously, I'd like to see that Substack grow. Right now, I think I just started it, so there's hardly very any people in there. I think there's a handful, maybe 10, 12 people. I don't know, 9, 10. So, and when I write an article or I do something, you get the email and that kind of stuff. But the plan basically is that I'll be putting in, some daily information, some stuff in there as the season starts to come in, and some cool suggestions and different things about data and what to do with baseball metrics and how it all ties into sports gambling, because you've got all these other guys out here in the world that talk metrics and they talk lingo and they talk stuff. They don't know anything. I don't mean anything disrespectful. They know the definition of a term, WAR, wins above replacement. They know what that word stands for. But they don't know how to use it in context to actually make a bet. They don't know how to use weighted runs above average or any of this kind of stuff. So that's what I do. And then I share that information and show that out and collect it and see how it goes from there. But that's the whole idea. The whole idea of this is it doesn't cost you anything. And here's the most shocking thing. And the most shocking thing to me is, we get, I don't know, I think 70 views of this show the last time. It was not very many live, but we got a whole bunch that came back on and watched. And then nobody goes, look, if you want to be a better gambler, educate yourself. Do your research. Because once you learn how to do things and you learn how to, Jeff's using AI, I use AI, you start to develop your skills, and you also then fine tune what you're doing, and you become better and better and better and better and better. And you got two guys out here that are sharing this information with you. Utilize those skills. If it were me and I'm trying to learn a bunch of different things, that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm clicking Substacks. I'm clicking different things. I'm as much information as I can get, and it's free, and I'm not paying for it. And not only am I not paying for it, but it helps me be a better gambler. That's what you should be doing. And I sit back and I look and I watch, and people don't do that anymore. Like I don't know what you guys want. I'm not going to sit here and go bet this game. That's your money. You go bet your games how you want to do them. But become better bettors by becoming better educated. Do the different things and take your skill sets and make them better, because you're competing with me. That's who you're competing with. You're not competing against the sports book. That's what you think. When guys like me or guys like, I don't know, whatever, make a bunch of bets and they start moving numbers, that's who moves the numbers. So you want to get your bets in before I do. You want to get your bets. You're competing with the market. So you're competing with me, and here I am giving you the information on how to beat the market. So take that information and drive and learn how to become a better. And I'm so shocked and amazed at today's society and culture that people just sit back and go, whatever, we'll watch the show, entertainment, and move on. Because, I don't get up here and dance on a table. The idea of what I'm trying to do is sometimes be funny and whatever, but I'm not necessarily trying to be entertaining. I'm trying to help people understand how to do things in a very productive way. Football was awesome. 61% in football is awesome. Using AI was the first year that's happened. So there's a lot of things that came on and came play, and baseball will be the same. So as you start to really delve into stuff, all I can tell you is I don't want to use this word, but you're either going to be lazy and sit here and listen to whatever you want and not do the work, or you're going to be a better and you're going to go, you know what? I need to do a little bit of homework here. I need to understand when I go to that window, that conviction that I have in this bet, it's going to win. And I'm going to put more money on here than I've ever bet before. And then start to grow some cojones and build your accounts and do this stuff and not bet these $20 and $50 bets and stuff on 75 different options and different things. So that's not the way betting works. Betting is not that way. It's a grind. It's the way you're supposed to do this. And sorry, I'm on a rant, but it is what it is. Anyway, there you go.
Me and Scotty back on Monday. Check the timeline around 9:30. I will be on throughout the week getting ready for the WBC to officially kick off on Wednesday, Thursday. Pools open up on Friday. We'll be rehashing some MLB. We'll talk some futures. I will be on in 6 minutes with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks, talking NHL. And then at 1 o'clock, the NCAA Insiders, Matt Grissom live from Vegas, Quentin Mills live wherever he is, talking week number 3 in college baseball. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, and right there, MLB-daily.com. Go click it. Go get there. Go follow Scotty. Ask him all the questions you want. Sign up for his Substack. It's free. Stay tuned and see you soon.